live, right? And just about to enter into game week 4, a couple of days away. It's been a good international break for most fans. For Arsenal fans, a bit of injury news. Odegaard out, and I think for City fans, they have Akebu's out now, right? So apart from that, mostly it's been a smooth international break. And with us, we have Luke, FPL actor from Australia. How are you doing, Luke?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Been there, been there. The Odegaard news really, put me down, but it's football, right? What can you do?
Yeah, it is. Well, the good thing is Arsenal's got enough depth to cover it. It just depends on whether you can trust Salah or I've got Havertz, so I was thinking about benching him, but because he's a forward, I think I might just keep playing him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a difficult decision because we don't know where he starts. I think
Yeah,
there's a good guess that he might go towards midfield, but even if he does, right, I think we use him in a way where he keeps making those late runs into the box, and you never know, you still might get points out of him, right? But good start so far. How's the season started for you?
well, it's going really well. I'm at 251k, I think it was. I played the triple captaincy chip in game week two. It's the first time I've ever scored over 100 points in one game week in a single game week, so very happy. I was down to 38k after game week two, so I was telling everyone to stop the game. Looks really good. 250k, not too bad. I've used
Not
two
bad at
chips
all.
already though, so I'm on my wild
Mm.
card currently. So I never thought I'd do that before game week four, but it is what it is.
Keep your step on the pedal, right? Don't let that acceleration go away, right?
Exactly.
Perfect. So we'll go on to your wildcard for sure. Right. Before that, we thought let's have some sort of special episode because season starters are always a bit different, right? A bit unique. You have so much doubts. You have so much 50-50 in your mind. Do I go to Bruno? Do I go to Odegaard? Do I, go Saka, Son, Palmer? Right. So where do I go? Right. So a lot of questions are there, and we are forced to take that decision, right? Because there's a lot of data around us. We don't know what the new systems are, how the new transfers are going to settle in, etc., etc. Right? But things change, and first 3 weeks I think have given us some fair bit of idea as to how some of these assets are doing, where how they are being utilized in the team, and where do we get lucky, where did we get unlucky, etc. Right? So this episode is primarily around that, just to see how things went. Right? Without further delay, let me start with the first big one, right? Which is Erling Haaland versus Mo Salah. Right. The reason I've kept a versus is because of the price points. They are the two best assets in the game without doubt, and the way they have started the season, they have made us realize again they are the two best assets in the game. Right. But it's just the price points which forced managers this time to pick and choose. Some still went ahead and took both, but I went with Haaland, for example. I didn't have Salah. How are things for you? Did you have two-medium draft, or was it single one?
I was just on Haaland myself, so that's why I did so well from game week two. But I took a
Yeah.
huge hit in game week three when against two premium people had the game week of their lives. So that being said, though, I don't expect it to continue that they both return every week. But if you've got
Yeah.
both of them, well done. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, 41 points in 3 weeks. Spectacular. I was a bit surprised to see Haaland play more minutes than Salah because in my memory it was like, Salah was always there towards the end. Maybe one of the games he was taken off a bit earlier. Uh, Haaland 7 goals from a XG of 3.77. No assist, of course, he's not known for his assist. But there was once, I think the match that we triple captain, I do remember a pass to Rico Lewis where he just blew it over, and I was like, hey man, there was an assist there, right?
Could have been
Uh,
his only one of the season the way he
could have
travelled.
been another one. XGOT on target XG of 5, which tells you why he's been able to score 7 goals. Looks in spectacular form. 14 shots already, 12 within the box, right? 7 big chances already, and he's taken 5 of them to the cleaners, right? So how's Haaland looking to you?
Well, he's a must-have, I think. Especially considering they've sold Alvarez, they don't have another backup striker, so he's still young, but they'll want him to play pretty much most minutes. unless he gets injured, or maybe until he gets injured. That's how they might have to look at it. And then Pep will figure out something. He always does. But because they don't have the Alvarez backup, I think they'll need to utilise him as much as possible, and everything will funnel through him. De Bruyne's in good form. De Bruyne always works very well with Haaland, so I think that combination is going really good. It's a bit of a blessing that Foden's injured or sick or whatever's wrong with
Absolutely,
him
yeah.
because it's not taking those chances away from De Bruyne and Haaland. So um, it was harking back to 2 years ago when it was the Haaland show. So it's very exciting. He can't keep up the ratio. He can't get 7 goals every 3 game weeks. It's not going to happen, but he's going to
Hat trick
continue
of
to.
hat tricks, by any chance?
I think he will. And then I think he'll dip. He'll dip after that.
Yeah. And the fun part is, Mo Salah, he scored half his goals, right? 3 goals, but he's got 3 assists. But then Liverpool have played really well, have had a good start. They have been keeping clean sheets again and again, right? And those extra bits points, have been trickling down for Mo Salah. And he's at the same points now, 41 points.
That's surprising, yeah. Yeah, 3 goals, 3 assists. If you had that after 3 games for any player, you keep them. Like it's a no-brainer. But that being said, Liverpool haven't really been tested yet, so they've got 3 clean sheets. But when they start playing good teams, chances are they'll start leaking goals like they did last year. They haven't really changed their defensive line, so you'd expect it to be a little bit similar. Slot is more defensively minded than Klopp. He was just all attack, but um, if you've got them or got anyone from Liverpool, keep them for the next few weeks. And then when the fixtures turn, it'll be interesting to see how Salah's impacted and also how their clean sheets are impacted as well. But yeah, he's had an amazing start to the season. But both these players didn't play competitions in the off season, so you can see they've come back fresh. They both look fit, and you can
I think
really see.
Salah did. I think Salah
Yeah,
did. He went to Egypt, yeah. Because I remember him scoring a sitter and someone, sharing that clip online. Hey, Mo Salah is still scoring. So I think he went and played for Egypt. And Haaland also played for Norway because the match where Odegaard got injured, right? So he was playing
watch
that
that.
match.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So both of these players, unlike the preseason break, they did have some sort of stint with their international teams. Having said that, they still look so good. One thing that really surprised me, with Mo Salah, he's playing really wide. He is.
yeah.
But at the same time, if you look at his shots, he's taken 10 shots and 10 of them have been in the box, right? What I can see is while their new coach is really tactical in nature, Slot, but he still finds his tweaks to get Salah into the box as often as they can. They play around and try and bait the opposition for a press and then try to put that ball over the top for Salah. And it's been working well for him.
Exactly, yeah. And I think Salah's enjoying um, being, let's say, more of a team up front, the front three, front four. He was enjoying passing to his teammates, whereas a couple of years ago it was him versus Mane, and they were hogging the ball down each flank. I think he's become more of a team player or just enjoying the team system now. So he seems to be playing really well.
Yeah,
There's a chance he could get less goals but more assists this season, but he'd still be worth his value at 12.7, I'd say. And that'll
yeah.
continue to rise, especially I think there's something crazy like 20% of people on wildcard this week or have at least contemplated it. That might just be a Twitter stat, but expect him to come into most of those teams. So those prices, they will continue to rise, I'd say.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, if I have to choose a winner, I'll be forced to choose Salah in spite of two hat tricks from Haaland. It's just that he was able to match the price with a much lower cost, but at the same time, I think the winners, real winners in the first 3 weeks, are people who went with both. Right, the 2 VM model really worked because the
Yeah,
first week you would have captained Salah, he had 14 points, and then the next 2 weeks, ideally you would have captained Haaland. I think third week, whoever you captain, it doesn't matter. Both of them ended with 17 points, right? So,
exactly.
being a humongous start. We'll move
Yeah, I
on to
think
the
it was
next slide.
a close one.
Yes, yes. We'll move on to the next slide, and this is a funny bit. So, Eze at a 7 million price point, and Boomer with a 7 million price point. He was, I think, the a differential choice. But
Yeah,
most of our preseason, we talked a lot about Nkuku at 6.5 million. He was starting as the number 9 for Chelsea. Our expectation was he'll continue, right? And a lot of through balls were going for him. He was running around at 71 minutes out of total of 270. really, really surprised me. I didn't go there. I'm so happy I didn't go there in the fingers crossed. I just decided not to have any money in the bank and go for Eze. But man, this was a disaster, right?
Yeah, I went in Kunku. I was all in. I fell for the preseason form again. I did the same last year with Leon Bailey, and he didn't start off too flash. So I fell for it. I was so excited that he's coming off an injury-prone season last year, ready to show everyone what he's worth, and then yeah, he, uh, everyone forgot about Palmer. I think Palmer played really
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and the surprising factor, I guess, from Chelsea was Nkuku, right? Sorry, was Madueke, right? We didn't expect Madueke to come in and start, right? And he did. And the Wolves match where everyone expected Nkuku to really explode in that match, it was actually Madueke who went on and scored a hat trick, I guess, right?
I think that was more the Wolves defense rather than Chelsea offense. But yeah, the combination of both. Both Madueke and Palmer played really well. But yeah,
Yeah.
and Kunku has to be a go. You think? Like he's already dropped point 0.3 in 3 weeks. So yeah, shame.
So far, it's just 3 points in 3 weeks, 71 minutes, one shots attempted, no big chances, nothing scored, right? So it's been a total dud so far. But so in this price category, it's been all about Eze and Mbumo. And
Yeah,
Eze was, I think, the third or fourth most popular pick going into the season, right? But Mbumo has been a revelation. We just overlooked him a lot, and he kept came back and reminded why we shouldn't. No Tony Brentford are much more reliant on Mbumo, right?
yeah, he's the new talisman. He's got 3 goals in 3 games. I think that's been overlooked a little bit. Everyone's been talking about the
Yeah.
likes of, as you said, Madueke, Palmer, Salah, and Haaland. But Mbomo's seemingly going to have one of those seasons where he goes under the radar and gets close to 20 goals. So if you can fit him in at 7, he'll keep returning for you. They've got a couple of tough fixtures coming up, but after that, they've got a good run.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are having to make that decision between Eze and Burma. And if you had either at the start, there's 10 points difference, but they're both a win. As long as you didn't go in Kunku like me, you should be pretty happy.
And while we take a look at the stats, one thing I do want to say is when it comes to Brentford, right? They do like sitting in deep and hitting teams on counters. So you never know. Those City and Spurs game might be much more helpful to Mbumo than we know, right? Playing those deep lying teams doesn't help Brentford as much. Southampton, in fact, tried to play a lot of play from the back, which actually helped Brentford. They took advantage of the mistakes that they made. But with Spurs, especially, you never know. Mbumo might be someone who can really exploit that high defense line that Spurs generally play with, right? Looking at the stats, 3 goals for Mbumo, one for Eze. Um, Not much of a difference when it comes to the XG and XA. But if you look at the on-target metrics, right, Eze had 1.46 and Mbumo had 2.33. 15 shots by Eze2 and Mbeumo 6. But if you look at the shot in the box, Mbeumo generally likes to take his shots closer to the box. Right? So for
Yeah,
4 shots in the box, he also received 2 big chances and he put both of them away. Right? It's pretty clinical in nature. Eze
yeah,
generally takes a lot of his shots outside the box, so it's rare that it will be categorized as a big chance. But I do feel he was a bit unlucky. Even if those were low XG shots, some of them looked really, really, like a one that would go in. In fact, one of his goals was disallowed, and it was pretty stupid to be disallowed
yeah.
by the referee. It was taken away, right? So maybe a bit unlucky there as a but an interesting, I think, price point. Now, with these two players perhaps being the most popular ones, Eze and Mbumo, though some people have started jumping on Madueke given the fixtures. We just have to see what Chelsea attack does. Are they settled in their choice or do they play around? Because they still have Felix and Neto, and they haven't even started them yet.
No, and they got Sancho as well.
Oh
Um,
yes, Jadon Sancho. How can I forget?
yeah, exactly.
It,
So once again, they've got
so
too many people.
Yeah, yeah. So I have Palmer, and I think Palmer is the consistent guy in that attack, right? The guy plays and perhaps gets into the points as well. But anyone else, maybe Jackson is starting to look like a guy who's perhaps the number nine, but both side wingers, you don't know what happens. So just wait and watch for a few more weeks, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you just can't trust them. We don't know what Mariska wants out of the team yet.
Yeah.
And are they playing in Europe? Remind me, did they qualify for Europe? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
they're playing for UEFA Europa Conference League, right? You know that
They left
last,
Palmer
yeah,
out of that because of no
correct.
agreement.
And yeah, they left Palmer out, but I think Madueke is there, right? So there'll be some sort of at least rest for Palmer, which is good to see.
Well, and there will be rotation as well. So picking someone that's not Palmer will be much more difficult now. They've got all those extra. They've also got probably enough players to field two separate teams, one midweek and one on
Definitely,
the week.
definitely. I think they can play three different tournaments happily.
Yeah, they got a chance of winning them all. They can't get fatigued. It should be fine.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next price point, and it's a bit. I don't want to pull Bruno's leg for sure, because his price at 8.5 is not actually, direct competitor of Saka and Son. But the thing is, people who went Haaland plus Salah, I think we're looking at Bruno as a possible, someone who can fill in that gap, who's almost as good as Saka and Son, and who in his prime days was as good as Saka and Son, right?
For sure, yeah.
Used to be a
To qualify
used to be a
for
200-point guy, right? So with that in mind, we started the season, and Bruno started as a false nine. First two matches, it was no Bruno actually made me think a bit. I had my fingers crossed. What is happening? He's playing as a false nine, but somehow things didn't materialize for his owners. Right, 7 points only.
yeah. Look, he played my team in the first game week against Fulham, and he should have scored two against us. He missed quite a few, at least a couple of chances he should have put away. If he got on either side of the keeper, then we would have been talking about Bruno as much as we had Salah and Haaland. He would have got a huge haul. So he's been very unlucky. That being said, I don't think he should be playing at the front of the line. And then behind him, you've got Matic. It's not a combination that's going to work moving forward. Might be better off playing Xerxes and then
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
Bruno in behind him.
That's what they did against Liverpool. Right? So Zerki went in as that false nine role, and Bruno came back a bit deeper. So I think that role has now gone away from him. So that opportunity is now almost done. Right?
Yeah, look, and I think those big chances and the shots and everything else will continue to come. That's just the type of player he is. He scored
Yeah,
for Portugal in the break as well, so
yeah,
he's got his kicking boots on.
yeah.
Um, I had some for his haul in game week two, so I was very happy about that. But
Amazing.
yeah, Son once again is very patchy. As a great player as he is, he'll get 15 points one week and then get a series of two or three pointers. But um, he did do very well in the game week two as well.
I started with Sun plus Saka. In fact, I went with this duo instead of Salah. And at least the first 2 weeks it kind of paid off. Till the third week it didn't. I am actually moved Sun to Palmer in game week three. The slight increment of points, not much. But what I realized is the game week one, right, where Sun played with their new striker, right? He didn't look good as at all, right? Because the central areas were completely taken up by the striker, and what we could see is the Spurs team really wanted to create chances for the number nine. For Solanke, they were not really looking forward to Sun. In fact, Sun created, I think, one chance, one small chance for Solanke again. Apart from that, he was completely out of the game, which was really surprising for me. Game week two, it changed because there was no Solanke, and he got a lot of opportunities and he exploded. I think scored both of his goals in that match.
Yep.
Uh, Newcastle were Newcastle's, and that match I didn't have a lot of expectations from Son as well, to be honest. And that's the reason I sold him out. But he's looking patchy, like you said. I know he's not looking that older golden days Son, where he used to take any opportunity that he had. Those point two, point three xg goals that he used to score.
Yeah,
he can score it, but I think that consistency has gone down. That ability to score low XG goals is going down, and at the same time, I feel that this Spurs team is a bit more multi-dimensional in nature, and they're looking out to more players, right, and not always the same compared to last season at least.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So Spurs are trying to differentiate their scoring options because if they keep going this way, then they'll just lock down some, and they won't have any other options. But that's not really how Ainge plays ball. James Madison's playing really well this season. Last season he had a bit of a dip in form, and that won't necessarily mean that Son gets all the chances. He likes to spread it around as well. So yeah, I'm not sure if Solanke's back yet, but if he does come back, that'll dramatically reduce some effectiveness. But for these three, you'd have to think that Abilby has been the best pick out of these three, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. It feels. I think the start we had Saka looked really good. We had one tricky game with Villa away, right? And I think he got lucky with the assist there. Thomas Partey giving that assist. But other than that, what we can see is he could have scored more also against Brighton. He had a good big chance, and as you can see, he had three big chances. He didn't take any one of them. Right, so there is still scope for him. I think the scope is high. The potential is higher. Higher. The ceiling is definitely higher. Uh, and we played the Brighton match, one man down for almost one half, right? So that did impact a bit. But going into the next 2 weeks, Odegaard out. I mean, I know I'm a bit biased as an Arsenal fan, but wild card, especially you on a wild card. Do you look at Saka as a asset for the next 2 weeks, or is this someone you come back to in game week 6?
Probably not Saka for me. I've gone Havertz. Uh, Havertz did really well for me at the end of last season, so I'm pretty loyal to him. And he's a good price point to have. I think you save a million or 1.5 mil. And Saka and Havertz are playing really well. Pretty much all of those assists go to Havertz, apart from the party one. Both Havertz and Saka could have got an extra goal against Brighton. I think Saka's was like a rebound off of Havertz's shot. Um, so they're both playing really well, and they don't necessarily need Odegaard to have that effectiveness. But it will be, as we said at the start, or maybe before, it'll depend on where Kai Havertz plays. If he drops back into the midfield, that means Leandro Trossard might start, depending on if Gabby Jesus is fit. And if Trossard's up front, he doesn't pass. He gobbles up all the chances, and he'll shoot 100 times just to hit the target twice. But he will probably score a goal, which would be better for Arsenal moving forward. The thing with Saka in the North London derby, he generally does pretty well. I'm not going to call him a big game player, but he likes playing against Spurs, if you will. It's just the City one's a bit of a write off for anyone, to be
Yeah.
honest. As long as they can keep them and given their current form, I just don't really know. But I'm not looking to bring in Saka because I've already got Hazard, but I am going to play him in the next two just because he doesn't get penalised for conceding goals, and he might sneak a couple as well. So
I think the Spurs one has a tendency to be a bit more high scoring, right?
yeah,
Especially the Ange coming in, right? Last season we had 2-2 at home and I think 3-2 away. Right? So both the games had a lot of goals. And if there are goals, you expect someone like Saka and Kai to be involved somehow, right? It's Saka assist Kai goal or Kai assist Saka goal. One of these guys will be involved in some manner. So that is one good point. But City away, City away. I think it's one of the toughest fixtures that you have in the league, without doubt. Right, and generally with the kind of play both of these teams have, they keep neutralizing each other, right? So there's like the minutest of chances, one or two team will receive and they will score of it. I remember at home last season we just got lucky with a deflected goal. When we went away, I think Haaland had one good chance in the away match and he didn't take it, right? But this season, I do feel both the defenses have not settled. While we are
yeah,
still, best defenses, but still not settled. It doesn't feel settled at all, right? So I feel there are goals in this match, but it might be one of those 2-1, 1-1, 2-2 kind of a match. Very difficult to draw it out, right? And the other teams have fairly better fixtures for sure. Right?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we'll take a look at this, price point. Like this is a fun price point because most of us went with Haaland, right? He's sucking away 15 million from her, bank, and so a very crucial price point this season was, 5.5 to 5 million. Uh, so a lot of hype, in fact, into this price category, but didn't exactly, turn out to be great. But you had Smith Rowe, coming into Fulham, and he did score in the first or the second match. I think it was second match, right?
Second match, yeah.
Uh, how's been your initial impressions of the guy?
He looks good, but like his days at Arsenal, he doesn't look match fit yet. I'm not sure what it's going to take to get him to play 90, but he's going to continually come off. Fulham played bad against Leicester. No, not Leicester. Sorry, Ipswich in game
Yeah.
week 3. It was one of those games we were lucky not to lose because Ipswich's first game at home, and in the first two games they played Liverpool and City, so it was the first game they're expected to get any result. So we were lucky to get away with a draw. I don't think we played well at all. But against Leicester, we did okay. He played pretty well. So it's also a learning curve for the team because we obviously with Jao is gone. Andreas Pereira has moved back into the eight rather than in the 10 position, so he's still learning as well. Has to reinvent himself. He was originally brought in to play that role, and then Fabio Cavallo was bought out by Liverpool, so that's why he was thrust into the 10 position. But in terms of Smith Rowe, I think he'll keep starting games. I wouldn't expect. I was hopeful to get a lot of hauls out of him. I wouldn't expect to get quite a few, but as the year goes on, he'll get more and more. I think should get more assists now. He needs to work with Adama Traore, and for those that know Adama Traore in the past, he is almost comical to watch. Like he's so good on the ball until he has to pass or shoot, and then it's like a toddler falling over when they run too fast. That's how I think of it.
So game week 3, I did match. I did watch most of your game because I got in, Smith Rowe, as to compensate for my Son to Palmer move. Uh, and the thing is, when you play Smith Rowe as a number 8, right? And the good thing is the coach still expects him to make those deep runs into the box, right? So you always see him running, coming back and trying to attack the box. But like you said, Traore is so fast, right? He's already ahead, and he's almost a toddler. He's impatient. He'll not wait more than 5 seconds to put that ball in. It doesn't matter whether someone is has reached the box or has not. Right? So if he sees someone, he'll just try it out. He'll not have the patience to wait, and that's where I feel it's a bit of a mismatch where Smith Rowe is making those runs, but the ball is already put in before he reaches the box, right? Sadly, I have not been able to see a Robinson and Smith Rowe connection. Because Robinson, I feel like is a very very good crosser into the box, right? And he knows what he's doing. He's putting the ball in the right areas. Somehow, while we did see it in the preseason, we have not yet seen that connection Smith Rowe Robinson connection play out. And if it does play out, then I think we might get a bit more from Smith. But one of the good things that I saw, he has 4 shots attempted, 3 of them is within the box. Right, so it's basically whenever he's getting into the box, he's going for the shot. So he's got one big chance and he scored it, which is a good goal, I thought. Right, well taken goal. Right, so let's see how it turns out. But Rogers, man, what a disappointment.
Well, what he, yeah. I was looking at Roberts the other day. I was looking at his career. He's only 22. He's never scored more than 7 goals in a season. So I think we're expecting a little bit too much out of the young fella. I'm not really sure. Like he looks so good to the eye. Um, but in saying that, the Villa team aren't playing well. They've got a lot of injuries again. It seems like. I feel like Villa this year are going to be like Newcastle were last year. They've got injuries before they get into Champions League, and it's just going to snowball and snowball. Leon Bailey's out, I believe, so Rogers might get a few more chances, but we don't know what's happening with Watkins. Um, but yeah, I just
Yeah,
he's 5 million
without
quid.
doubt, right? I think he's a 5 million asset, right? The hype that we created, we created it way too much. I think he played really well against Arsenal, right? I think he was the main asset for them. He really troubled Thomas Partey. I think he went past like 3, 4 times. He looked really strong and solid. But the not so fun part is the easier games he's not looked that good. He's not been able to connect a lot with the forward. Unfortunately for him, the chances that he created went to Watkins, who himself is not looking great. And when John Duran does come in, he's a guy who just takes his chances right from the crosses. He is more of a header, right? So somehow all of his connections is not coming. But the good part is there are still some good fixtures left. So we just have to see it out and pray. But I feel like now we know that even if he's priced at 5 million, he's not a long term asset for sure. And whenever I do go for a wild card, I have to move out of him. I would rather have a 4.5 million guy and use that 0.6 million somewhere else. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, and Minter. What can you say? He's played. He looked so good in preseason. He's got 2 assists, so he's doing okay. But Pedro and Welbeck, they're just finishing off everything. There's not even many chances left for Matoma, who should be the talisman now. I think we all forget Matoma's in his late 20s. He hasn't been around that long, but he's like the elder statesman almost now. Apart from Milner, obviously, but he's been around since day dot. But yeah, I think so. Minter's looking pretty good on the ball, but yeah, he needs to get some more shots. They've got two really plum pitches coming up, so hopefully we see a bit more out of them. 10 points from 3 games for a 5.5. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not bad for sure. He's looking like he's connecting with the team, right? It looks like it's a team where he will eventually find a position. It's just he's settling down. He also had a minor injury in game week 1, so I think the minutes are also slightly lower. So it's something we have to wait and watch. The potential is there, but I felt like Brighton were hyped a bit higher. If I'm looking at the United and Arsenal matches, I'm not as convinced. Right? They're not that attacking, as attacking as Roberto, De Zerbi season one.
Mm.
They'll find a balance. They're balanced in natures, right? So we also have to, keep our thoughts similarly, right? With that, I'll move on to your wildcard team, right? I don't want to delay it any further, right? How does things look for you?
So this is my original wildcard draft when I punched the wildcard basically 3 or 4 hours after Liverpool Manchester United, purely because I wanted to beat any price rises. So
Makes sense.
when I did this on the FPL website, I had point 0.3 in the bank, and then I did this on FPL team a couple of days ago. And as you can see, there's been so many price rises. I'm had point 0.5 difference, so because it says negative point 0.2. So I'll just run you through my thought process about this quickly. I wanted part of the Liverpool defense for the next few fixtures, and I had Raya in goal. I didn't want Raya anymore because I had a couple of tough ones. So I put Allison in there. Dunk can get his big head on a few crosses. Lewis is a 4.5 gift for now. I don't think he's going to play all season, but Nathan Ake's just got injured, so maybe Lewis has been cemented that much more. And a 4.5 starting defender for City, even with Arsenal coming up, it's a just take it and run. I'm a sucker for punishments. I've gone back to Luca Dean. He quite often trolls the FPL community, but I think with Villa's fixtures, he'll be pretty good. The issue I have with this team, mate, is that my defense is 4.5s and 4.0s, so it's a bit scary to be honest. I've gone for attacking cheap players. As you can see, I brought in Salah. He's my captain this week. I've got Minter. So I've got a couple of players we've spoken about. We've got Palmer on the corner there, as you can see. Firmino, he's the talisman at Bournemouth. He's playing really well. He's got a lot of shots in and around the box, and he seems to have taken the talisman off, or taken on the talisman aspect for Bournemouth now that Solanke's gone. And my roughie in midfield is Onana from Villa. He's playing a bit more free now. He's away from Everton. He's just told to defend. He's already scored 2 goals. He scored them away from home too, which is very interesting. So they've lost they lost Douglas Luiz to Juventus this year, so he's slotting into that quasi position quite well, and he's taking his shots when they're going in. So I want to jump on him as soon as possible, and if I have to bench him, so be it. Right? It doesn't really matter. Obviously, up
Yeah,
front, I've mentioned him 4 times already this podcast. We've got Havertz, and then Haaland is a no-brainer. I do have Wissa on the bench, and that's purely because
yeah,
Brentford's fixtures come really good in a couple of game weeks, and then you can just look straight in. So that was the thought
definitely.
behind it. I've changed it slightly afterwards, but that was
We'll
that.
move on to the next one just to see how things have changed for you. Right?
Yep. So this league
You,
is just one premium. We can probably skip that. Just spoken about it. Now this is the one I've got. So I've gone for the hokey cokey in terms of the goalkeepers. I've gone for Brogan and Flecken. They dovetail quite well, pretty much right up until game week 20. And now because I'm wild carding in game week 4, this basically needs to last me between 20 and 25 game weeks realistically. Or I need to
Yeah,
have the to do that. So the structure of this team is basically 15 players that can play rather than having too much cannon fodder. So I've got Robertson in defence. I've kept Luca Dean and Lewis. Robertson's looking really well. I couldn't quite afford Trent, but he's not too bad. He's 6 million. He's getting into the box. He's getting a few passes, and I wanted to get
yeah.
a couple of shots. And then in a couple of game weeks, I can bring Gabriel into Robertson, and that won't cost me anything. Um, Salah's the captain, obviously. I'm not letting go of him. I think I'll keep him. I've brought him a timer instead of Minter because I wanted that guarantee of shots. I wasn't sure if Minter was going to get shots. Onana is there again, so it's Semenyo, and I brought in Eze because um, I just want a better talisman in the midfield, and Eze is the one to go for. So I brought in Welbeck as well for a 2 week punt, and I've got enough in the bank here that I can go Welbeck to Wissa in game week 6 and then capitalise on those Bournemouth fixtures. Haaland's there as you can see. I've got Havertz on the bench, but I'm not sure if I'll bench him. I'll probably play him in the North London derby. I'm not sure against City. I think I might just play him anyway,
Yeah.
just to be easy. But my bench is looking good because I've got Mikalenko and players on the bench as well. So Mikalenko, even though Everton are struggling, Sean Dyche will fix their defence in the next few weeks. Like he doesn't score many goals, Dyche's teams, but he will fix their defence very soon, and then hopefully Vitaly Mikalenko can jump in there and get me, if not clean sheets, he can chip in with a couple of assists for me. That should be pretty good. And then if I
I
have
started with
to,
Miklenko in my game week one draft. Right,
yeah,
it's been such a pain, just to see them give away those clean sheets. But it's the Son Dice factor, right? You go there because you know Son Dice is there. He'll handle things. He's an
yeah,
experienced coach. He'll handle the defense side of things, right?
he would rather have a nil or draw than win 5-4. Put it that way. So he'll get his way eventually. But yeah, I
Yes.
like the structure of this team. The one thing I really want is Palmer, but I can't afford to wedge him in. Otherwise, as you saw before, my defense is horrible. The only thing that would change my mind in this team is if Watkins was ruled out with injury. I would probably change Welbeck to John Duran, and
Mhm.
then I'd start him because I think his per 90 goals is, or goals per 90 is second only to Haaland when he plays. So,
Yeah, but he plays
I'm
for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, right?
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's extrapolated. But yeah, it's interesting to see you without Chelsea midfielder, without Palmer especially, right? I think that's the only thing missing. But you have taken the luxury of having a third striker, right? And that's the reason I guess it's a bit difficult to reach Palmer in any of the spots, right? But interesting to see you have Mitoma. Right, he's not highly owned, but we know he's such a quality player, and Brighton have the fixtures for sure. So it's a Brighton double up that I see. It's not a triple up, right?
yeah. It's triple up. I got Verbruggen as well.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, I missed it. So you have Brighton defense and then you have midfield and attack. So pretty good triple up
Yeah,
there. You have Salah plus Robertson. I think Robo is a fairly good move. While Trent has looked good, he's not had a single assist so far. Right, he almost had a goal which is disqualified, unfortunately for him. But at the end of the day, he's not involved in the goals, and Robertson is matching him from BPS point of view. He's coming pretty close. Right, and I think it's a good, especially for someone like me who has Sullivan in the team, it's a good sideways move to make. Right, before you hit the wild card, maybe come back to Arsenal defense. But Liverpool are looking really good in defense, and I do feel it's important that we get someone for sure. You didn't feel the need to go, double up on their defense again. For example, get someone like Konate as a cheap filler.
yes, maybe, but I think they're lucky to get 3 clean sheets, and I don't think they're going
Of
to
course.
continue getting clean, to be honest. Even though they're playing Forest, but I wanted to keep these price points. I've
Hmm.
got on the FPL side, I've got 1.8 million in the bank, and that'll help me get from a Toma. Um, Look, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the extra money, so I think I need to use point 0.5 to go from Welbeck to with it, and then I might go either Dean or Mikalenko or Faye up to Pedro Porro in a couple of game weeks, and that gives me that money up my sleeve to go from there. I think if I wanted to go for Palmer, Matoma to Palmer, that I have to bring Havertz down to some striker that I'm not going to play, and then I don't have any Arsenal attack, so I needed to make some sacrifices.
Team does look good, right? How are you feeling? Pre wildcard vibes. How are they?
Well, pre-wildcard, you're full of hope, right? So I'm so excited. I've been making multiple drafts on FPL teams, so I've set on this one. I'm pretty happy with this one, I think. Uh, yeah, so Havertz will start, and I put Onana on the bench today, just because he's the cheapest. He's 5.1, so he can just wait, as far as I'm concerned. So I did that earlier today because I thought it was just silly benching Havertz when he's basically a premium, really, isn't
Yeah. Interesting indeed, right? So before we close the episode, and I think it was a fun episode to have, right? Good start to the season for sure. But how are your feelings about Fulham now? 3 weeks in, how do you feel the team is settling down?
he? Fulham or my team?
Fulham,
Um, yeah, good. I think. Look, we need to integrate Anderson into the defensive line, so I think that'll start this
yeah,
weekend. I'm pretty sure Diop will drop back and Anderson will join. I'm not sure what we're going to do with Reece Nelson. I don't really know too much about him. And Adama's actually playing well. He's playing the type of footy that Silva wants, not necessarily the type of footy that FPL managers want, but he's looking dangerous. So it'll be
yeah,
hard to get in. Sander Burge also is someone who brought in as a positional
hi,
backup
yeah,
for Polina, but I don't think he'll get to start yet. He's more of a cut player at this stage, and he's got a bit of a niggling injury. So I think
oh,
if we've had the same starting lineup the first three games. I think we can bring Anderson in to pair with Bassey. I think that'll be good this week. Just a bit of normality. I don't want us to change things up too much. That being said, Muniz is getting he's getting enough opportunities. He needs to put one in. Like one needs to go in off his knee or off his shoulder by accident, and then all of a sudden confidence.
yeah. He is a bit unlucky for sure. I think he should have scored at least one by now, right? And for strikers, maybe that's it, right? First goal of the season, you just need it to go in, and then things flow for you.
Yeah, I think so. That's exactly what he needs specifically. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Luke. Thank you so much for coming down and Friday night, right, coming on for a discussion. Right. I hope your good start continues. This wildcard works well for you. Right. And I'm sure we'll have you back sometime, mid of the season just to see how things are going with you. Right.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Luke. Take care.
See you later.